Hello everyone and welcome to another video of the GC channel. I am GC, also known as Jocoin, and today I will be doing my predictions for the second half of season 6 of Fear the Walking Dead. The Walking Dead season 10 has ended and now it's time for Fear the Walking Dead season 6 to continue. And today is all about predicting who will survive and who will die during the second half of season 6 of Fear the Walking Dead. Let's get started. I got all the characters split into all kind of groups. Here we have the Rebellion. We also have the Pioneers. We have the Imprisoned. And we have the people who are somewhere else. You don't know exactly where they are, but they are somewhere around still alive. Now, before I get started, I just want to make something very clear. Green means that I definitely think that this character will survive the second half of season 6. And red means that I definitely think that this character will die. But without further ado, let's get started.
Death, destruction, decay. What is happening to the world isn't new. The world's been breaking down since its inception. Everything is winding down, including us.
Just never get off of me. It was not your choice to make.
Death is inevitable, but from this death comes new life.
So you're the king of the crazies.
And you are Alicia. Oh, I've been looking for someone like you for a long, long time.
Alicia. Well, of course Alicia will survive. She's one of the only characters remaining of the first group we've met in season 1. And some of those members have to stay alive. And Alicia is definitely one of those because she has become a big fan favorite character. So she is definitely gonna live. Morgan. Well, Morgan is a character we think dies every season, and then he doesn't. So I can pretty much say that he may die, but then there's a big chance that he will probably survive. Because every time it looks like he's going to die, but then he doesn't. So you know what? Instead of saying that he dies, I'm just gonna say that he's fine. Because Kiri, he is unkillable. Then we have Althea, also known as Elle. And Elle is my favorite character on the show, and I hope that they don't kill her off. Because I just love her so much and I don't want her to die anytime soon. And she has become a big fan favorite and lead on the show, so killing her off would not be a smart or logical choice. So I don't think that the rest will kill Elle off. I think that she will stay alive for a lot longer on the show, maybe even make it to the end, who knows, but I don't think that she will die since she is a big fan favorite. Same goes for Dwight. I don't see Dwight dying, especially since he just got on the show, kind of. We saw him in season 5 and he still has a lot of things to figure out, and so I don't really see him dying yet. So yeah, I think that he's fine for now. Then we have Cherry. Well, Cherry is a tough one because there's a big chance she may survive because she seems like a character that will be very important in the future. But then again, she is a kid and kids don't really live that long during the apocalypse. But you know, I think there's still a lot to figure out in Cherry's character. So I think that Cherry will actually survive just a little bit longer. Then we have the Goda. Well, I just have this big feeling that Goda is definitely gonna die. She may have escaped her big psychopathic sister, but she is not gonna live in this world for long. and I'm not sure how she will die. Maybe she will die at the hand of some pioneers, maybe she will die at the hands of those doomsday people, or maybe she will get accidentally killed by one of our heroes. Who knows? But I definitely do see Dakota dying, since they are developing her death more and more. You see that in The Walking Dead they make characters more and more important and more interesting, only to kill them off later on. That is something that's happened on the Walking Dead franchise so many times, and it's bound to happen with Dakota. Then we have Rachel and her son Morgan. Well, to be honest, I'm not sure what the show wants to do with these two. I kind of think that Rachel could die, but I don't really see Morgan dying, and I don't really know if he could live without a mother. Of course, someone else will take care of Morgan. Probably Morgan will take care of little Morgan, so we'll have to wait and see. But I have this big feeling that Rachel may die, so I'm gonna give her a red one. But I kind of think that Morgan has to live, so the baby is fine, I believe. Okay, and then we have Raleigh. Raleigh is part of the Outcast. He's one of the leaders, together with Oswald. And they want the pioneers to die because they have left them and killed a lot of their friends and betrayed them a lot. And so they don't trust them. They hate them all. And so they want to kill them and get justice for their friends who have died because of the pioneers. And I kind of think that they may go on some kind of suicide mission, but I personally think that a lot of the outcasts will die for sure. A lot of them could definitely be killed during this second half of the season. I could definitely see some of them sacrificing themselves for ours to survive, or to kill a lot of pioneers, or maybe get killed by pioneers when they try to kill them but fail. But the outcast is not really that safe. So I definitely think that Raleigh and Oswald will both die for sure. Then we have Sherry. Sherry's also part of the outcast right now. And to be honest, I'm not really sure what they want to do with her. When I heard that they will bring Sherry back for season 6 of Fear the Walking Dead, I thought that she would become a big, long-time character. She may want to sacrifice herself so that other people could survive another day. She may sacrifice herself and die in front of Dwight's eyes, and we'll just have to wait and see whether or not that will happen. But I kind of had this feeling that Sherry survives, but I also had this feeling that she could die. So, to be honest, I'm not really sure what they want to do with Sherry, but you know what, for now, I'm just gonna give her a green one and say that she survives. Then we have Nora and Lee from the building that was found by Dwight and Elle, and they are taken into Morgan's newfound community that will go up and rise up against the pioneers. And to be honest, they will become part of the rebellion and fight, but probably a lot of the people who lived in that building that was found by Dwight and Sherry are probably gonna die. And I definitely think that Nora and Lee will both get killed during this rebellion. I don't really see them making it out alive. Then we have Rufus, Morgan's new dog. Well, to be honest, I'm kind of surprised that Rufus is still alive. I kind of thought that when Morgan killed Emil, that Rufus would attack Morgan, try to kill him, but then Morgan kills Rufus just in time. But he kept him around, and now Rufus has become Morgan's new pet, and not really sure how they got along so well and so quickly. I mean, sure, Morgan may wear Emil's coat now, but it doesn't mean that he looks like Emil. He definitely doesn't. So a dog should see the difference between the two of them, even if he is wearing the same clothes. So, to be honest, actually, Rufus should be furious at Morgan for killing his owner, but apparently he isn't. He is just fine with it and moves on. And so, given that Rufus has a pretty good relationship with Morgan now, I don't see him dying really. And yeah, he's just fine, I guess. Okay, then we move over to the Pioneers. Well, the Pioneers are probably all gonna die, probably, because this is the final season for the Pioneers, I believe. I don't see many of them making it through season 7. I think the Pioneer storyline will be done after this second half. Maybe some of them will survive and be kept alive, kind of like the Saviors after the big war. Some of them survived, some of them didn't, and were taken into the communities. And I think that it will be kind of like the same. I think that most of them will probably die, but a lot of them will probably also live. I think that we'll have definitely Virginia dying. She is not gonna survive the second half. Not at all. She is definitely gonna die unless they want to pull some kind of Negan move. But I don't really think they will do that with Virginia. Then we have Victor. I know that some of you may think that he is still on the good side, but to me it kind of looks like he is working on both sides. I personally think that Victor will go the same way like Eugene did in season 7 and 8. He became part of the Saviors, but eventually he grew tired of it and betrayed them with the big bullet explosion. And I think that Victor will do something similar to that he will try to get the trust Pioneers and then eventually betray them in the end and kill a lot of them and show to his fellow survivors that he's still a good guy. But I personally think instead of surviving like Eugene did on The Walking Dead, I think that Victor has a big chance of dying. And that is a lot to say since Victor is a pretty big character on the show. But you know, we can lose a big character for sure. We haven't really lost a big character so far since season 4, I believe. So it is pretty much time to lose another big character in my opinion. And I think that Victor will definitely be the perfect one to die right now. Now then we have a lot of the Pioneers extras. I have to look their names up because they're so forgettable, you guys. Okay, where they are. Okay, here we go. Okay, apparently this is Hill. Well, Hill is dead. He is the right-hand man of Virginia, so I don't see him being controlled by people like Morgan or Dwight. I don't see him being allowed by that. I think that he will probably be killed during the war. Same goes for this Marcus dudes. He will probably not get along with any of them after the war is done, so the best thing for him to do is be dead. That's for sure. Then we have Samuels. Yeah, Samuels is fine, I believe. I think that she can just get along fine with our survivors. Then with this dude, James, I believe his name is. You know what, James is definitely dead for sure. I don't really see a future for him. Then we have all these Pioneers we saw in the finale of season 5, but we haven't seen them in season 6 yet. And we're sure if they're still around actually. But they probably died somewhere off screen or will die off screen. But I don't really see much of them in the future. But you know what? I think that we got this girl, Ellen. You know what? I think that Ellen is fine. Then we have this dude, Clef. I think that Clef is probably gonna die. This is Kenneth. Kenneth is probably also dead. And then we have Terrence. Terrence is also probably gonna die. Then we have Wreck. Wreck is the pioneer that was taken prisoner by the Outcast to seek information about the Outcast strategy and all. And we don't know exactly what happened to him after the end of episode 5. We saw him lying on the ground in the background when Dwight, Morgan, and Al were taken prisoner by the Outcast. I mean, didn't we see if he's still alive or that he was just wounded and probably passed out or was hit pretty bad by the outcasts when they were torturing him? And so I think that he may have faded out or that he was killed off screen, but to be honest, we don't really know what happened to Rex, so I personally think that he may have been killed off screen, because it looked like he was pretty much dead and lying on the ground when Morgan, Dwight, and Elle were taken prisoner. But we don't really know for sure, because we don't really see the dead body that clearly. We only see him lying on the ground in some kind of blurriness, and we do see some blood, but it's not really clear if he's dead. It could be just unconscious, who knows. But I definitely think that if he's still around or alive, that he still has a big chance of dying. So, yeah, this dude is definitely dead. Okay, then we have the imprisoned ones, people that are still living in the pioneers communities. We don't know exactly which ones, but they are still around and still alive. And a lot of them may die, a lot of them may live, but we're gonna see what will happen to them. Let's start with Lucy. Okay, Lucy is probably safe for now. I think that there were some rumors go around that she will be in the finale of season 6, and given that someone makes it to the finale and someone big like Lucy, there's a really big chance that she would die in that finale, and I just don't really think that she will be killed in the finale. I mean, the writers clearly love Lucy, so I don't really see her dying anytime soon. Same goes for June. I don't really see June dying. She's become a pretty big character so far, and I definitely see a big future for her, so I don't really see her dying yet. Then we have Daniel. Well, I know it looked like he would be shot by Virginia in the trailer for the second half of season 6, but then later on in the trailer we see some scenes of him at Morgan's camp, and so it's made clear that he makes it out of that execution alive. But honestly, Daniel is pretty much safe for sure. He survived a lot, and so I don't really see him dying anytime soon. But to be honest, I'm not really sure about Sarah. I love Sarah a lot. She's one of my favorite characters in the show. She's actually my second favorite character right after Elle. And so I don't want her to die, but because I don't really see much of her in the trailer, I do think that she will probably die pretty early on in the season. I hate to have that happen, but I have this big feeling that it's going to happen. Then we have Grace. Well, I definitely thought that Grace would die during the lineup we see in the trailer, but then we see her later on at Morgan's camp, and so she has to survive that. And sure, there's still a chance that she dies later on in the season, so I don't really see her dying unless that camp gets bombed or something by the pioneers. But I don't really think that pioneers will ever find that place. So I personally think that Grace is fine, and I'm totally fine with it because she's also a great character in my opinion. I would love to keep her around a lot longer. But you know what, I just had this feeling inside of me that she would die, but now that I see more of her in the trailer, I think that she's actually fine. Then we have Wes. Well, I definitely think Wes is just fine. We just met him last season, and we also heard he was still around in the finale of the season, and so I don't really see him dying yet. We just got to know him, and there's probably a big future for him planned, so him dying would not be a logical choice. Then we get Wendell. Okay, you know, Wendell, I'm not really sure what they want to do with him. I mean, there's a big chance that his adopted sister, Sarah, will die because we don't really see much of her in the trailer, but we don't really see much of Wendell either. So there's even a big chance that he could die, but honestly, maybe one of the two has to stay alive to develop the character more and more when one of them dies. So honestly, if Sarah is gonna die, then probably Wendell has to survive, even though Wendell seems like a character who'd fight and fight until he dies, he would probably sacrifice himself for the rest. And so, honestly, they could also just kill him off and have him be like, I've lost Sarah, I've lost my dog, I lost everything. There's nothing for me out there anymore, so I will die so you can survive. Maybe he will sacrifice himself for the greater good, who knows. But honestly, I personally think that either Sarah or Randall has to live. And since we don't really see anything other than the execution scene of Sarah, she is probably gonna die at the execution scene because someone has to die right there. And I think that will be Sarah, but we don't really know what they want to do with Wendell. They could also kill him off, but they could also let him live to develop him more after the death of Sarah, so we have to wait and see exactly what they want to do with him. But you know what? I'm just gonna give her a red one. I think that he will sacrifice himself for the rest of the people. We'll just have to wait and see. Then with Jacob, well, I kind of thought Jacob will be just fine since he just met this dude. But there are some rumors going around that the actor who plays him wants to stop on The Walking Dead, even though he will leave the show. And so I personally think that because the actor is leaving the show, that he will probably also be killed off, because that is what they do with actors who leave. They kill the characters. The Walking Dead doesn't really like to recast their characters, and since Jacob isn't already the biggest character on the show, he is probably dead. I also saw someone being buried by John and some other people, and I kind of have this feeling that Jacob is the one who's being buried there. But we'll have to wait and see. Okay, then we have the kids, Ellie, Max, and Dylan. We haven't really seen any of them during the first half. And we also didn't really see much of them in the trailer. But I definitely think that they are still around and they will definitely appear in the second half for sure. And I definitely think that they will survive. I don't see the show killing off a bunch of kids. Maybe one of them could die, but I personally think that they're all fine. Then we have some of the characters we haven't really got to know that much, or yeah, we don't really know anything about them, so they don't really survive that long. I think they were part of Morgan's group, and they are now somewhere in Virginia's communities, and you know what, I think personally that they will all die. We got the deaths of their son, and they will probably be killed during the war. Same goes for these mine dudes. I forgot all of their names. Let's see. Oh, okay. We got Philippi. Tom. Is that his name? Tom? No. Okay. We got Philippi. We got Pete, and we got Dom. Well, you know what? They're all dead in my opinion. They are Philippi and Pete are confirmed to still be alive, so they are probably gonna die. Then we have Dom. Well, we haven't really seen him in the first half of season 6, and we know that he was like Tanktown when that big explosion happened, when Tanktown was destroyed and fell, and there's a big chance that Dom may have died during the destruction of Tanktown. It just may have happened off screen, but we haven't really seen Dom yet, and we didn't really see him making it out there alive, so I personally think that he may have died during the destruction of Tanktown, but we'll have to wait and see. But I personally think that Dom is either already dead or that he will die. Okay, then we have the people who are somewhere else other than in Virginia's communities. We've got John, who has left everyone and decided to live on his own, and he wants to get away from it, take a break. Maybe he comes back. We do see a lot of him in the trailer. We see him with Morgan, Dakota, and on the road they kill some walkers. And I personally think that Morgan will find John probably and convince him to become a part of the rebellion. But we'll have to wait to see exactly what they want to do with John. But I heard some rumors going around that this will be his last season. And I don't want that to happen because John is a great character in my opinion. I want to see a lot more of him, and he's one of my favorite characters on the show right now. And I really like John, so I don't really want him to die yet. But given the rumors that this might be his last season, I have this big feeling inside of me that those rumors are true and that John will probably die. I don't want him to die, but I just have this feeling inside of me that he will. Okay, then we have this Doomsday guy. We don't know his name yet, but we saw him in the trailer and he's mysterious. We don't know much about him yet, but he's kind of like someone who is probably against the people of Virginia. And he has a walker on a tree or something. He's called the King of the Crazies in the trailer. And we don't know anything about him, but he is part of the Doomsday group. So we don't know much about the Doomsday group, but they have this kind of big crazy leader. And you know, way back in season 5, Alicia was looking for someone who was painting on the trees. And I don't know why, but I kind of have this big feeling that we may meet this character in this second half. This could be this guy. He could be the guy who was painting all those things on the trees. Or he could be someone we haven't really met yet. But he acted like he knew Alicia. And Alicia was also painting a lot of things on the trees. And so maybe the guy saw those things and knew that it was Alicia who did it. So he knows her, he has seen her before, and we haven't seen him before. So I think that he was kind of spying on Alicia when he was painting those trees. I think that he may be the one who has started the whole tree thing. I'm really sure, but I do think that we will meet that character eventually. And it could be this guy, who knows. But I think that he will be some big, sort of villain crazy character who is against the people of Virginia. And we know that the pioneers will probably be killed and be defeated after this season. And we have also this Doomsday group, and they may be worse than the people of Virginia, but they do want to kill the people of Virginia. So our group may have to seek help by the worst kind of people. And some of those people could survive, but some of them will probably die. Or they will all die. We know that 2 of them are already dead. They were killed by Morgan. And they died for just a key, a simple key, and we don't know exactly what the key is for yet. I think it was for the submarine. We'll have to wait and see, but I personally think that all the Doomsday people are dead for sure. If they survive, then our group is definitely gonna have some problems with them in the future. But I think that they are all probably dead and gonna sacrifice themselves for the greater good. They're probably gonna go on some big suicide mission. Okay, then we have Skidmark, Daniel's cat pet, and he went missing when our people were taken into Virginia's communities. And we don't know exactly what happened to Skidmark. We don't know if he's still alive. He could have been killed because the Virginia didn't really see much of a use to her or him. So he could have been killed because there's not really much use for a cat in the apocalypse other than to keep company. So yeah, he could have been killed or he could be still alive, but I personally think that Skidmark is just gonna die for sure. And probably to develop Daniel more and more. So that was everyone, I believe, and yes, there's a lot of big characters dying. But maybe I will be wrong about a lot of these deaths. Maybe I won't be. Maybe all of these big characters will probably die. We'll just have to wait and see, but I think that I'm pretty much right about a lot of these deaths. Anyway, that was it for now, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Tell me down in the comments below who you think will die in the second half of Fear the Walking Dead Season 6. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, and see you guys next time.